no se deje definir por una categoría de peso, presentando la totalmente nueva Terrain, la SUV compacta de GMC, ético como un profesional, la totalmente nueva Terrain. Arrendatarios actuales no GM, residencia de 1500 y asistencia de compra en la mayoría de los modelos Terrain del 2018 al financiar a través de GM Financial.
Good morning.
Let's start by introducing yourself again to the jurors. Tell them your name and how you are currently employed.
Again, my name is Daniel Listock. I'm the Public Safety Supervisor for Midtown Blue, located in Midtown, Atlanta.
And tell the jurors, what is Midtown Blue?
Midtown Blue is a public safety operation that's funded by a nonprofit organization, Midtown Alliance.
And how long have you been working for Midtown Blue?
Almost 3 years come this May.
And when you say a public safety organization, tell the jurors a little bit about what Midtown Blue does on a regular basis.
We act almost as a supplemental force with the Atlanta Police Department, work in cooperation with them, just providing extra safety and security, more eyes on the street, and act as a deterrence. Also operate a very extensive camera network within Midtown, which is when I say Midtown, it's the Midtown Improvement District, which is a community improvement district.
Let's tell the jurors a little bit about the camera-specific part of Midtown Blue. Where in the city are your cameras located?
Like I said, our camera system is based in the Midtown Improvement District. So pretty much general area of that is as far west as the connector, I-85, I-75, as far east as Piedmont Road, as far north as the Buford Spring Bridge at Peachtree, and as far south as Pine Street.
How many cameras are within the Midtown Blue system?
Currently, right now, 58.
If someone wants to pull a video or look at some surveillance that was captured by a Midtown Blue camera, how do you do that?
If it's for civilian purposes, it's required that we request a subpoena, and usually if it's a police officer request, we have them fill out a form and we provide it for them. They just come into our office and ask for date, time, and location.
In September of 2016, were you working for Midtown Blue in the same capacity that you told the jury about this morning?
Yes, I was.
And tell the jury just on a day-to-day basis, what does that mean for you in the Midtown Blue office?
At that particular date, I was working our dispatch center, so I'm monitoring the camera system, taking calls. At that particular time, just operating in a capacity as a dispatcher would, like almost for 911 would.
I'm going to show you a couple photographs I've previously shown to defense. It's Exhibit 227 for the record and 228. Take a look at those for me and let me know if you recognize them.
Yes, that is our current operation, located at 855 Peachtree Street in Midtown Blue.
Okay, both of those pictures show a true and accurate copy of sort of the headquarters of Midtown Blue?
Yes.
Okay. And Your Honor, at this time, the state's going to tender what's been marked, understanding there's no objection from the defense.
Right. Okay, this is 227 and 228.
Yes.
All right.
And permission to publish?
Granted.
Okay. So the jury, what we are looking at in State's Exhibit 227, just to get an idea of the area you're talking about.
Where this photograph is taken is from behind our dispatch desk, which is a semicircle, and that's viewing all of our monitors that we have set up that just give a basic overview of our cameras within the Midtown Improvement District.
And if someone wants to walk into your headquarters and sort of walk up to one of these monitors, would they see a timestamp on all of these cameras?
Yes, they would.
And are they seeing, when they look at that, what kind of a timestamp are they seeing?
The timestamp that they would see on the camera is produced by the camera itself and the software within.
And are those two different things, the camera itself and the software within?
No, they're the same thing.
Okay. Let's talk about specifically September of 2016. At some point that month, did you have an occasion to pull some video with the detective Darren Smith?
Yes.
Tell the jury a little bit about how that happened.
It just so happened investigator Smith works for Midtown Blue for an extra job, an Atlanta police officer. At that particular date and time, there was an incident that occurred, and he came to me, just with my experience with the camera system and network and being able to pull video footage, requested a particular video footage that day and time, and that evening.
And were you able to actually pull the section and location of video that Detective Smith was looking for?
Yes.
And once you pulled that video, were you able to actually review it yourself?
Yes.
And have you had a chance to review that recording since you pulled it?
Yes.
Tell the jurors, before we show the video, where is the physical camera located within an intersection for these particular?
For these particular ones, the one at Piedmont and 10th is located on the northeast corner, sitting on top of 1001 Piedmont, sitting on top of an arm that's connected to a building.
Okay, so on a physical structure?
On a physical structure, yes.
Okay, what about the next intersection, Piedmont and 12th? Where is that camera?
Piedmont and 12th, the camera is strung up between two guide wires that almost make an X between poles, and it sits right in the middle of the intersection.
Okay, and when the jury looks at a video from a Midtown Blue camera, what sort of the perspective that they see in these particular intersections?
As far as height, like where it's viewed, yeah, it's going to be about 20 feet up in most instances. It all depends on the particular intersection, but yeah, roughly above the what your field of view would be. So you're going to be looking down.
And when Detective Smith came to you about pulling these particular intersections, was he looking for a certain vehicle?
Yes, he was.
And what was the vehicle?
It was a white, I believe, a white Expedition.
I'm going to approach with what I've shown to defense is 233, State's Exhibit 229, 230, 231, and 232.
Will we be getting an updated exhibit list?
Yes, you will.
Okay.
And let me know if you recognize each of these.
Yes.
Okay, and have you had a chance to review these still photos in this video before coming in today to testify for the jury?
Yes.
And do you recognize each of these?
Yes, I do.
True and accurate copies of what you pulled?
True and accurate copies, yes.
As far as State's Exhibit 233, the video, have you made any changes, alterations, or deletions of any kind to the recording itself?
No.
Right, Your Honor, at this time, State's going to tender what has been previously marked into evidence as marked.
Can you give me those numbers in numerical order so I can keep track on the list?
Yes, 229 through 233.
All right. No objection. They are admitted and publishable through 233.
Yes.
All right, so 229 through 233.
Before I play it, tell the jurors the section of road that we are about to view on Piedmont, is it two directions or one direction?
One direction, and that section on Piedmont, traffic is traveling northbound.
So if you're traveling northbound on Piedmont, are you going to cross over 10th first or 12th?
You're going to cross over 10th, followed by 11th, then consecutively to 12th.
Do you need me to dim the lights?
Sure, yes.
You can exercise my one power. All right, let's see how this works. First, the one light you might want to have go down and control.
I'll fast forward in just a second, but if you would, just the image that you're seeing in front of you, just kind of orient the jury, tell them what we're looking at there on the screen.
This would be from Piedmont and 10th. We're looking southbound as traffic's traveling northbound. Like I stated, this is up on top of a building, so we're seeing, looks like the far two west lanes heading northbound on Piedmont.
And as we're looking at this image, do you see two different timestamps there on the screen in front of you?
Yes, I do. I see the upper left section, which would be the camera, and then the lower section on that scrolling bar, which is done by the software.
Okay. If you could, there's a pointer there in front of you, so it helps, if it helps, you can stand up. Tell the jurors to sort of point out the two different timestamps for them.
There's the timestamp sitting right here, which would be done by the camera software itself, and then the timestamp here, which is done by the software for the ONSSI, which is the camera software. Or my mistake, the operating software.
Okay. I slid forward for the record to 22, 03, and 38. And just tell the jurors when you recognize the vehicle that you were looking for.
I recognize the vehicle right there.
Okay. Could you point it out for them?
It'd be the white Ford.
Okay. And this is as we're approaching 10th. Is that correct?
Correct.
I'm going to have you take a look at Piedmont and 12th with the jurors, just kind of orient them again, tell them which angle we're looking at there.
Again, we're looking at Piedmont and 12th, looking northbound as traffic is heading northbound as well. Again, like I stated, this is sitting above in the middle of the intersection of Piedmont and 12th.
Okay. Detective Smith were identifying, if you could point it out for the jurors.
Is there significance to the green versus the red in that scrolling bar?
In some instances, yes. It shows how much motion there is when you look into the finer details of the camera software itself.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Sorry, bad timing.
No problem.
I recognize the vehicle there.
Okay. Do you see it on the screen now?
Correct, yes.
You could just point it out for the jurors?
Yes. Right there.
Okay. And what is it about what you saw on both those angles that allows you to say that that's the same vehicle you saw crossing over on 10th?
Just based on the fact that it matches as far as the roof rack and the same color and sunroof as well.
If you continue up there, what is sort of the next, is there a camera there at the next intersection that Midtown Blue operates?
No, there is not.
All right. I'm going to take a look at State's Exhibit 230 and 232. I'm going to show you State's Exhibit 230 first. This is the Piedmont 10th that we looked at before with the jury.
I'm sorry?
Is this the Piedmont and 10th intersection?
Yes.
First, okay, so the first camera out of the two we have. Start with the timestamp up there on the top. What's the timestamp on the top there?
I would say as far as time, 21:57.
Okay, and what is that in maybe the time?
That would be 9:57 at night.
Okay, and so that's 9:57 p.m. on the 25th.
Correct.
All right, and that's the sort of physical camera time, is that correct?
Yes.
And what's the timestamp there down on the bottom?
It would be 22:03 or 10:03 p.m.
Okay. Tell the jurors, why are those timestamps different?
The one we had seen on the top left in black, that is done by the camera software itself. Each camera, we have there's about a half dozen different makes, being from Axis to Samsung cameras. They have all their own built-in software. That software has the ability to have a timestamp that's set manually, or in this case, it's set up with their servers, so the software servers. That then has to communicate, who knows where, I don't know where these servers are located, be halfway across the United States, and that's where it gets its time from. Now the timestamp down below at 22:03 we see here in the green, that is done by the operating system. The ONSSI is known as the software that we operate on to view these cameras. That server is located right within Midtown Blue and is produced by local time.
And because that server is located within Midtown Blue, and because of your training and experience with that system, do you have an opinion about the accuracy of the timestamp there at the bottom of that image?
That time right there is the accurate time.
So 10:03 and 54 seconds, this vehicle we've been talking about is at the intersection of Piedmont and 10th, is that correct?
Correct.
I'm going to ask you the same questions about State's Exhibit 2 through 231. Okay, that's the vehicle we've been talking about?
Yes.
All right, I'm going to show you the top time. Tell the jurors what the timestamp is on the actual camera.
It would be 21:56 and 28 seconds.
Okay, and so that's actually after the 10th Street time?
Correct.
And what's the significance of that?
It would mean they hit that camera first and then went to the 10th Street camera, which is not possible.
And so based on what we've just been talking about, do you have an opinion about the physical camera time on this intersection?
The same thing, the physical camera time produced by that software is inaccurate.
Okay, and let's show the jury. What is that Midtown Blue software time there on that intersection?
That would be 22:05 or 10:05 p.m.
Okay, same question, you have an opinion about whether or not that's the accurate time?
That is the accurate time.
So 10:05, this vehicle is crossing over, right after a light, is that crossing over the intersection there on 12?
Correct.
Once you pulled this software for the actual video itself for Detective Smith and reviewed it, and that would be, did that complete your particular involvement in this investigation?
Yes.
Right. One moment, Your Honor. I asked you if you had cameras at the next intersection. What is that next major intersection there after the 12th Street intersection?
There would be 13th Street, which is not a major intersection. The next major intersection would be Piedmont and 14th.
Okay. What sort of landmark is right there at Piedmont and 14th for people who don't live in the Midtown area?
For the most part, that's kind of the ending of the one-way directional of Piedmont, and then it becomes two-directional heading northbound, so there's going to be north and southbound, and it ends right there, and just off to your, off to the east is going to be Piedmont Park.
All right. Those are my only questions.
I have one before Mr. Samuel goes. It's kind of a big intersection. Is there a reason why Midtown Blue doesn't have cameras at Piedmont and 14th?
We now have a camera that does face that direction, sir.
Okay. At the time we're looking at, you did.
We did not.
Okay.
Correct.
And I have one other.
Okay. Someday, Mr. Samuel will get to go.
Someday. If you make a left there at that main intersection we've been talking about at 14, how far are we then from the Peachtree Street?
It would be two more lights. You would approach Juniper and 14th, followed by Peachtree and 14th.
Okay, and that's if you take a left there?
That's correct, if you take a left.
Major intersection. All right, that's it.
Mr. Samuel?
Officer, is that the correct
Yes.
title? Officer Stock, I just have a couple questions. If you go, for the people who are not familiar with the area, you're coming north on Piedmont, it's one way.
Correct.
From downtown, or really from right outside the door here, right?
Yes, sir.
It's one way going all the way through downtown, crossing ponds, crossing north, and then going through, I guess, Midtown, going through the numbered streets, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you have a camera at 10th, which we looked at.
Yes, sir.
You have a camera at 12th, which we looked at.
Yes, sir.
And then the car continues to go north, correct?
Yes, sir.
It presumably came to 14th Street next, though you don't have a camera and you don't know that, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And the judge just asked you this, but on the right is the entrance to Piedmont Park. You can't turn right at that point, correct?
You cannot.
There's big
Big
poles.
ballards there, you can't get through.
What are they called?
Ballards?
Ballards, okay. And if you're in the right lane, you couldn't turn left either.
Correct.
Okay.
I mean, you could, but it wouldn't be legal.
You'd get hit.
You get hit.
You'd get broadside. Okay. Plus you have, all of a sudden at 14th Street, it turns into a two-way street, so you have oncoming traffic suddenly at 14th Street as well, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. If you keep going north on Piedmont for like 5 more feet and you cross over 14th Street, the next time you come to an intersection that's at all a through intersection is all the way...
What do you mean by a through intersection?
I'll clarify. An intersection where you could turn left and get somewhere other than back into neighborhoods is Monroe, is that correct?
There are, to make a left,
To make a left.
there's through streets through Ainsley Park as well.
But those are residential streets.
Yes.
I mean,
But next big main intersection would be Monroe, yes, sir.
okay. That's the first one that has a traffic light, for example.
That'd be the second one, that'd be a traffic light. There's a traffic light, I believe, before that.
Maybe Ansley Park or something?
I believe it's the entrance into the Botanical Gardens.
Okay. That turns right. But as soon as you cross 14th Street, if you want, in fact, even if you turn left on Monroe, you're not going to hit straight to Peachtree, are you?
I do not believe so, no.
You're going to have to wind around through a golf course there, correct?
Back in Ainsley, yes.
And then you're going to have to, residential streets, you have to know that area to figure out how you get from there to Peachtree, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And if you're going north on Piedmont, as soon as you cross 14th Street, I think you've already said this, you can't turn right at all other than to get into the park at the Botanical Gardens.
Yes.
The next time you can make any right turn, other than there's a bicycle shop somewhere down there, is on Monroe heading back downtown.
Correct.
Okay. Were you asked by Detective Smith to do any other reviews of any other cameras at all to determine what the traffic was like that night?
No.
Okay. Do you have cameras up at Monroe?
No.
The last camera is 12th Street.
Correct.
Okay. Is it because we're no longer in Midtown, according to your definition at Monroe?
Beyond 14th Street, you're outside of the Midtown Improvement District.
Is it then considered to be Buckhead up there, or
Somewhere right along those lines.
Peachtree Hills or something? Okay. Do you know how to get from there to Emory, by the way? Emory Village and Emory Hospital area?
No.
You ever been there?
To Emory?
Well, from that area, how you would get there? From...
I don't have, I've only been down here for 5 years now, 6 years.
All right. So, kind of following the timestamps here, it sounds to me like the bottom line is that the Ford Expedition gets to 12th Street right at about 10:05. Is that right?
For 10th Street? Or 12th? 12th, yes, yes, sir.
Okay, whatever the time mix-up is,
Yes.
your time is right, but the camera's time is wrong.
Correct.
Okay. And you say that's based on your experience. I mean, is there some way you know that to be correct?
Yes, just based on the fact that when we set up our camera system, like I was talking about with the camera itself, the software within it, you can set the time manually, or you could have it link up with the servers. And like I stated, I don't know where these servers are located. There could be communication issues to get a accurate time. Also based on the fact that when recently going over, looking into the internals of the cameras and the software setup, that even now when we made the change over to a different software system, it's still, I think, 15 minutes off from the software, camera software to our operating.
You know what, I wasn't actually asking. I just wanted
Okay.
to, simply yes. You
Yes.
know the, I was going to take your word for it.
Okay.
The global is right and the camera's wrong.
Correct.
You're confident of that?
Yes,
Okay, so it's 10:05 when the car hits 12th Street.
yes,
Okay. And then it's traveling at a normal rate of speed, best you can determine at that point.
as best as I could tell.
Okay. You're actually looking from the south north at the 12th Street vantage point, so you actually can watch the car going through the traffic light, or it's a green light, it keeps going, it's still going at a normal rate of speed as it leaves 12th Street, correct?
Yes,
And that's the last time you see the car at all?
yes, sir.
Okay. And that's 10:05. Is there a way to zoom in to see what's going on inside the car, to see people where they're sitting or anything like that?
There is a way, but it wouldn't give a clear enough view to even see within the vehicle.
Could you even determine that there are people sitting in different seats on the car?
No.
So what is it that you're viewing? You say there is a way.
There is a way. It's when cameras have two ways of zooming in. It's an optical zoom, like you would have with a camera, where it actually physically zooms in, and then there's what this system would operate on, which is a digital zoom. So all you're doing is blowing up the picture, increasing the pixels, and overall losing resolution.
Okay. Were you asked to do that?
No, not to my knowledge, actually.
Okay, so Detective Smith didn't ask you to at least figure out, can we determine how many people are in the car, where they're sitting, is there a male here or a female here, is someone sleeping, is someone lying down? You didn't even make that. You were not even asked, let me finish my question. You were not even asked to do that?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Okay, and you don't know whether you could even to this day do it, correct?
I'm sorry?
You don't even know to this day whether trying to do that would be successful?
Correct.
Any follow-up?
The intersections we've been talking about, 10th, 12th, and 14th, what county is that located in?
Fulton County.
Okay. And Mr. Samuel just asked about whether or not you knew if zooming in would produce any images. Tell us, Jerry, have you had the opportunity to zoom in and look at the image resulted from zooming in other cases?
No.
Have you reviewed the cameras? How do you know that it pixelates, or that what it does basically when you zoom?
Just based on my experience, and then just how the software itself operates.
And how long had you been working with the software that we saw there from
That's a fairly new software, so only a couple months.
And have you all switched over to a new software since?
Yes, we have.
Why did you all make that switch?
We follow what Atlanta Police does at the VIC, the Video Integration Center, because they tie into our system, so we always keep up with what they're using so they can have access to our system as well.
And since 2016, APD has updated their software.
Correct, they have switched.
If we talked about the Monroe intersection there. When you take a right on Monroe, do you know whether or not that's in the direction of Atlanta Medical?
Not to my knowledge.
And how long have you lived here in the Atlanta area?
For about 5.5 years.
Okay, and does Midtown Blue have any cameras? I think those are all my questions. Oh, so the jury knows. Tell the jury, you said VIC cameras.
Yeah.
What's a VIC camera?
The VIC is the Video Integration Center. That's what Atlanta Police ties into. They have access to almost all the cameras within the city of Atlanta.
And you said earlier that you're kind of a supplement to APD?
Correct.
And so do you all kind of interchangeably have access to both your sets of cameras?
Yes. Well, they have access into ours. We do not have access into what
And
they see.
Detective Smith actually works a sort of extra job or part-time at Midtown Blue?
Correct.
And so fair to say he has a decent understanding of Midtown Blue's sort of layout and how those cameras work?
Yes.
Okay. I don't have any other questions.
Okay. Any questions from the jurors? Oh, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Next witness.
Your State Mr. Art Wagoner.
Art Wagoner. Arthur on the list. Okay. I'll look for Wagoner.
Do you swear and affirm that the testimony you should give the court today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Yes, sir. If you will, please have a seat. Get as close to the mic as you can. For the purposes of the court's record, please state your name and spell it.
Arthur Wagner, ARTHURWAGGONER.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
If you'd like to take off your jacket for me. Looks so nice. Thank you. Once you get situated, if you would introduce yourself to the jury, tell them your name again, and where you're currently working.
Arthur Wagner, Emory University Hospital.
What do you do for Emory University?
I'm the operations manager for all the valet stations there.
And what does that mean for you on a regular basis?
Controlling the parking and delivery back to the customers of all vehicles that are valet.
And is that, are you responsible for that on one Emory campus or multiple?
If we're talking about at that time, it was Emory Main Hospital and Emory Midtown.
Right, and you're saying at that time, what are you talking about?
Well, if we're talking about the situation right now, then we're only at Emory Main Hospital.
Right, is that September of 2016?
Yeah, 2016 we had Emory and Emory Midtown.
When you say Emory, what?
Main Hospital on Clifton, and we also had Emory Midtown on Peachtree.
All right. About how far apart are those two hospitals from each other?
Maybe 4 miles.
When you are working for Emory in 2016, are you in the same role that you just told the jury about now?
Yes.
And does that include some knowledge or responsibility over the camera system there?
Yeah.
Okay. Just talking about the Emory Clifton campus, tell the jury, does the Valet have cameras out there?
Yes.
And where are they located?
In the valet area where they pull up at, where all vehicles pull up, we have a 4-camera system.
All right, and for jurors who have not been out to Emory on Clifton Road, if you're entering what does the valet look like when you pull up?
Okay, when you turn right into Valet or left, depending on which direction you're coming into, it's a circular drive around. It pulls in front of the emergency doors and the hospital doors there. That's where we valet at. And then the camera system, the way I have it set up, I can see everything from the time the cars turn the curve right there by emergency.
And in 2016, was there anything going on at the hospital that made the appearance of the valet area any different?
Yes, at that time they were building, it was during the construction of the new tower that's now open. And so we had a barricade over the center area that was some 7 foot high. So we only see the vehicles once they hit right in front of emergency where my cameras could see. Now I can see across the street.
How many cameras total do you have out
4.
there? And are they all operated in some sort of central area?
Yeah, the cameras are actually used for damage control. Customer pulls, as we take the car out, we can see damage on both sides of the vehicle.
The entrance that we are talking with the jury about, is that, what kind of an entrance to the hospital? General entrance, emergency room?
It's general entrance first and then emergencies right next to it.
I mean, at some point after September 25th, 2016, were you able to review video footage related to the incident we're here for today?
Yes.
And did you actually download the images and put them onto a disc, or did you look at it some other way?
Some other way.
Tell the jury what happened.
I was contacted by PD and they wanted to look at it and see if they could.
Since actually pulling and providing it.
Yes.
And the video, did you actually review it with the officer while you were sitting right there?
Yeah, the officer was there when I did the footage.
I'm going to show you what's been previously shown to defense counsel as State's Exhibit 242 through 246. Recognize these?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
All of these fair and accurate depictions of what is actually on the camera.
Correct.
And for State's Exhibit 242, the disc itself, any changes to that recording, alterations, deletions that you did?
No.
All right, Your Honor, I'm going to tender what's been marked as State's Exhibit 242 through 246.
No objection. Okay, before I admit it, I'm confused. You used the verb film when you said you made a copy, and by saying you filmed it, that makes me think that you've got some machine that's playing the video, and then you're using the camera to actually take a film of something playing on the screen, like you're bootlegging a movie or something. Not that I know how to do that. But what did you mean by, like, how the copy that's on that disc, is that actually burnt from the actual footage, or did you have to stand there with the
I had to stand there with my phone. And
okay. So you filmed it?
yeah.
All right, that's what you said. Thank you.
That's the guy who went.
Okay, so the jury understands, what are we looking at there so that they understand kind of the same question the judge just asked you?
Then that's me filming the video as it's replaying. Me and the officer that was there.
And the screen that we see there with the bar, the actual monitor that we see on the screen, where is that monitor located?
In the valet area.
Okay, and we see sort of two camera angles there. Tell the jurors sort of the perspective of both of those.
The one to the left is right as you're turning the barricade right there. That barricade is no longer there because the construction's done. Oh, sorry.
Right there for me.
Oh.
And if you can, stand up and you can kind of point it out on the big screen behind you.
Oh. Okay, this barricade is no longer there, so our cameras can see all the way across the street. But this is where you come in and you curve right here and you come around and you leave out. But when you valet right here and we take the car going that way.
All right. The jury, turn the lights down.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, did it help to have the lights down? The ones that can control? Okay.
Thank you. And sir, I'm sorry, I don't want to make you stand back up, but the far left screen, I guess where you see that car right there on the far left of the image,
Yeah.
Where is that car coming from?
Off of the street. That's where they enter on the far end and then they drive around the barricade that they had up at that time.
Okay, and on the far right of the screen where we see that silver car.
That's going to be the exit side. That's this curve coming on around and on your way out.
And if a valet is in the car on their way out, where would they take the vehicle?
To our main garage for hospital valet.
And is that still on the campus, the garage?
Yeah, it's still on the campus, but it's actually across the street and down and then into the garage. Right.
You see from this monitor in front of you the timestamp? I'm going to show you some pictures in a second, but can you see right there what the timestamp is?
Yeah, I can see it.
What is it? Tell the jury.
22:15:44 is still in there.
Can you see the driver's side door open on the left side of your screen?
Yes.
All right, will you show the jury with your pointer?
You can see the door is open right there.
What's the timestamp on there now?
22:17:08.
What time is that for non-military time? Oh,
10:17.
okay. And so can you see the car pulling forward to where you described the jurors?
The car pulling forward is on its way to the valet garage right now.
Okay. All right, thank you. You can have a seat for me. I'm going to show you a couple different pictures. Let me start. The Emory Hospital, if you know, the actual inside of the hospital itself, they also have cameras.
Correct.
And have you seen those images or any footage from their cameras before?
Related to this?
No, any cameras?
Yeah, I've seen footage from their cameras
All
before.
right, fair to say the quality of their camera is a little better than the picture image from the Valet that we just saw?
Depends on what you're looking at.
All right, okay.
Because I've seen them from different areas.
Sure,
Yeah.
okay. Let me show you this. I'm going to show you what has been marked and shown to defense as State's Exhibit 247 through 249.
I'm out of pages with numbers like that. Will we get a
Yes.
pretty soon?
Like in the next 10 minutes.
All right, I'll keep the next 10.
Look at these for me.
Okay.
Do you recognize these?
Yeah.
All right. Are these a fair and accurate depiction of sort of what the Valet area looks like now?
Yes, this is how it looks now.
All right. I'm going to tend to what's marked as 247 through 249. I don't believe there's an objection.
No objection to 247 through 249? Correct. Admitted.
Orient the jurors a little bit so they can understand what they just saw there. What do we see here in 247?
Okay, on 247, do you need?
Sure, that helps.
Yeah. Okay, 247, this would be the entryway in. This outside ring right here is actually what was blocked off before. And then as you see the 4 pillars, the barricade at that time was around all of this because they reconstructed it.
Okay, when you say barricade, are you still able to drive in and make entry into the hospital at that time?
Yes, but you can't see through, like my cameras are across from there and they can't see out. All you can see is that curve that you saw on the video.
Okay, so that's why our angle was the way that it was?
Yes.
All right, what about State's Exhibit 248?
Okay, this is a much tighter shot and you can see where, if the barricades were there back as they were back then, you wouldn't be able to see outside. And this is where the vehicle came around. There's emergency. There's the hospital entrance. Emergency entrance is right there.
State's Exhibit 249.
All right, that's where my camera is. And there's a set of cameras there, and straight across from it, there's another set. But at that time, the camera was actually right here. The setup was right here, and the opposite 2 cameras was right across from it on the actual barricade wall. I had temporarily mounted them there.
While the construction was going on?
Yes.
All right. Okay, thank you, Mr. Steve. You told us some timestamps. This is just this is 244 for the record. It's a shot of what we just saw. Tell the jury, what is the timestamp there as we see that white car pulling in?
22:15 and 13 seconds.
It's 10:15 p.m. 13 seconds.
Correct.
And do you do anything in the sort of ordinary course of what you do to make sure or lead you to an opinion about the accuracy of the timestamp there on your camera?
The cameras are never, the DVD recorder's never off. I've been there 2 years thirsty, and they've never been off.
Okay, and do you, as a supervisor there and working these cameras, do you make sure that all of your cameras are sort of synced with each other on that same time?
As close as you can get. To actually set up this camera system, you actually have to set one up, go back or walk over to it, which is only across from it in my case, and sync it, and then go back and do the next until you do all 4. So
Do you actually sync all the cameras yourself? Or do you have to sync these cameras?
those pretty much are under me. I'm pretty much the guy.
commentary about what makes you say that the system is never off. How is it that you make sure that that's synced against something constant?
Well, with 4 cameras, I mean, unless power went out completely at the hospital, the DVR would always be on. And since we've never had all 4 cameras down, I've only had to move the cameras around on the side of the barricade. The other 2 that are right there by the camera system and the DVR have never been off.
And so in your time there, in the 2 years?
In the 2 years that I've been there.
All right, and you know that personally, because you're the supervisor there?
I know it personally because I'm the one that kept having to move the other one, so.
During the construction?
Right.
How long was the construction going on, if you know?
It started on that side where they put the barricades up, my 2nd week there, and it lasted until June of last year.
And so what would have been your best guess of the start date?
Let's see, I started March 20-something, so a couple of weeks, maybe April 1st, April 2nd, somewhere around there.
Of 2016?
Yes, the barricades went up 2016.
Just one more. In your time as a supervisor, you told us about 2 campuses. What county is this Clifton Road campus located in that we just talked about?
I think it's Atlanta now, isn't it? DeKalb or Fulton? I'm not from Atlanta, so.
That's fair. That's
Yeah.
fair. The Midtown campus that we talked about there that you said was.
It's on Peachtree downtown, so.
How often are you actually on the Midtown campus?
At least 1 or 2 days a week, I go there. I try to.
Those are all my questions.
Okay. Mr. Sandman.
Can I ask a question?
Can I put the lights back up, or are you going to use?
Doesn't matter. Mr. Wagner, how long has there been an ER at Emory Hospital? Do you know?
I have no idea. It was there when I started 2 years ago. The emergency's always been right there, as far as
Since
I
you've
know.
been there?
Yeah.
All right. And the construction was because they were building a hospital across the street, correct?
They're building the tower across the street, but they put that glass bridge in over Clifton, that's why.
That's what I was going to ask. So they built this huge bridge, it's like a 2-story bridge,
Correct.
right across Clifton.
Right.
It connects the new hospital
With the tower. Yeah.
the old hospital or the existing hospital. And the bridge goes right on top of the ER, correct? Kind of circles around and goes into the building right on top of the ER.
Well, it comes out over no, that was already there because there was a bridge originally there. But they reconstructed to where the bridge is now. It goes across the street, almost over the crosswalk right there. But before, it used to be cutting across a clinic, which is across the street.
Okay. And that made the traffic pattern kind of difficult to navigate, correct? You had barricades in the middle of the driveway, right?
Yes, there were barricades in the driveways.
Not only did you have barricades, but you had the white,
Delineators.
huh?
Delineators.
Delineators.
Yeah.
Ballards,
We're
delineators.
learning a lot about
We're
traffic.
growing.
And these delineators, we're not talking about white marks on the road, we're talking about
Yeah.
poles and chains, right?
Yeah.
And there were like 2 or 3 different lanes that you had to figure out which lane to go into to get into the ER, right?
Not during when the barricades were up. We only had 1 lane in.
There was, well, now there's like 3, right?
Yeah, there's like 3.
And when you
No, when you turn left in there, it was set up that You had the wall going around, and you just followed the wall on around, and we valeted you, and then we took the car from there.
One lane coming in.
Yes.
It's not like you couldn't drive an ambulance. The ambulance is going in those.
They go in the emergency, yeah, like 50 feet away. They go up the ramp.
And if the car's in front of you, you just kind of line up behind the cars coming in.
Correct.
Valet. It's like going to a restaurant valet, right? You all take
Exactly.
Get a ticket.
And we take the vehicle and park it, correct.
But it's not unusual for you to have cars coming in with people who are in need of emergency care, right?
No, it happens all the time. Yeah, we get those people. Yeah, it's emergency right next to the hospital.
People don't come in there to park to get food from the cafeteria, right?
No,
They come in there because they're trying to get to the ER, not as visitors, but as patients, right? Passengers are, I assume, passengers are the patients, correct?
yes,
Your wheelchairs right there, correct?
yes,
There's a whole stack, it's like the grocery store has all the grocery carts, you have stacks of wheelchairs that come out and pick people up, right?
yeah. The hospital provides wheelchairs.
There's signage out on Clifton to tell you how to get into the ER, correct?
Correct.
Is there any sign out there that says ER, no trauma? You ever seen a sign that says that?
Not to my knowledge.
Have you ever seen a sign out there that says ER, but don't come in here if you have a traumatic injury?
No,
Have you ever seen a sign out there that says ER, okay? But it's hazardous to your health to come in here if you're a gunshot wound,
no,
like a cigarette pack or something. It's hazardous to your health. You ever seen anything like that?
no.
Every sign out there says ER, emergency, right?
That's for ER, yeah, besides our signs for valet. Yeah.
Have you ever seen a sign anywhere, including on billboards all throughout Atlanta, that say, Emory, ER, don't come here with trauma?
No.
Have you seen billboards for Emory all around Atlanta?
Yes.
Big billboards out on Claremont and North Decatur, over the fine eating establishment there in Commonwealth. Seen the big billboards out there, Emory Hospital to the right? They're coming from the north side.
No.
Where have you seen billboards?
I've seen billboards around the city, but I haven't seen one near McDonald's that said that.
And any one of those billboards saying, don't come to Emory if you have a traumatic injury. You've never seen it. I was asking about anywhere.
Okay, I think you've made your point, though. If you want to get to another area, I invite you to do that.
I would ask I'd be allowed to ask about billboards other than just the signage outside of them.
How many billboards for Emory have you seen?
Quite a few.
Okay, why don't you ask your question and then let's get somewhere else.
With
You
regard
made
to-
your point.
With regard to any of the billboards you've seen, have you ever seen one that said, don't come to Emory with a traumatic injury or a gunshot?
No.
Timestamp is, am I understand correct that what we were looking at is the white Ford coming in at 10:17 or 10:15? What was the time?
Well, it started at 10:13.
The car coming in.
Yeah.
The car made it into the ER 10:13?
I do believe that's was the start of the video, which would be the start time of it just turning in and coming into view focus.
Okay. And you think that time is accurate, 10:13?
I would say it's probably accurate.
And it's kind of weird looking at it. There's shadows. That's you taking a movie of a screen, correct?
Yes.
Is there some reason you couldn't just pull it off the screen? It just doesn't. Can you not get a digital picture from the?
Well, actually, I could have had it put on jump drive, but the detective that showed up didn't have his jump drive, didn't have a jump drive with him.
So you just used your camera, your iPhone or something?
Yeah,
Took a movie of the movie, which is why we have shadows, because it's lights behind you presumably, correct?
right.
And then you just you somehow emailed or something?
Yeah, send it to him.
Sent it to him. That's what we have in evidence here.
Yes,
Your video of the video.
yes.
Correct? Does your phone have a timestamp?
Yes, it does.
Did it show what time it was taking?
The video?
I withdraw.
I was going to say that's not going to work.
Okay, but you're taking a picture of the timestamp of the actual.
Well, the timestamp is on the video as it's playing.
Okay.
Any follow-up, Ms. Conley?
Just a few more questions. The Emory Midtown campus, how far is that from the entrance to Piedmont Park?
I have no idea. I've never been to Piedmont Park.
If you are going from, you never been to Piedmont Park?
No.
Okay. If you are going from the Midtown campus to the Emory campus,
Uh-huh.
which way do you take to get there?
Usually I just go down Ponce.
Okay.
Yeah.
Takes you all the way there.
No, it didn't take me all the way because I have to turn off Ponce at Moreland.
Okay. And then where?
Then to North Decatur. And then to Clifton.
Have you seen in the screen in front of you, the white SUV yet?
Yeah.
Okay. And tell the jurors, what is the time on the camera right there?
22:15:01.
Tell the jury when you first see that SUV.
I'm already looking at it.
Okay. And so the very beginning of the recording we have, see if I can get it there. Tell the jury what's the time there.
22:14:55.
So 10:14:55.
Yeah, 10:14:55.
All right. Okay. Mr. Samuel asked you a bunch of questions about billboards, your experience with billboards around the city. In addition to Emory, have you seen billboards for other hospitals around the city of Atlanta?
Yes.
Okay. Any questions from the jurors? Yep. I don't see Deputy Murphy. Deputy Kane, you mind getting these questions from the jurors, please? Thank you.
have you been employed in your position?
At Emory, total 29 years.
Okay. And how long have you been the director of public safety?
For approximately 3 to 4 years.
Okay. And does the Emory University Hospital, the Clifton campus, have a surveillance system?
Yes.
And what is it called?
It's called Exact Vision.
And does that surveillance system record?
Yes.
And about how many cameras do you have throughout the Emory University Hospital?
It's over 200. I don't know the exact amount, but it's over 200 cameras.
Okay. And are there cameras in the emergency department?
We have them, yes.
Okay, and where are they located?
In the Valet area and coming into the entrance around the lobby, triage area.
Okay. After the surveillance system records for a particular day, how long is the recording kept on your system?
In our high traffic areas, approximately 7 days. If it's a low volume area, it could be a little bit longer.
Okay. And is the emergency department or the Valley area considered to be a high traffic area?
That's considered to be a high traffic area.
Okay. And I want to go back to September 25th, 2016. Did you request that the videos from that evening be downloaded?
I did. Because that's a high traffic area, and normally when something happens in one of our high traffic areas, and I know the video is only recorded, saved for approximately 70 days, I normally request that we save that video in case we need it at a later date. Either the hospital might need it for risk management or, for some reason like this. So that's why I request that we save it prior to, so it won't be recorded over.
Okay. And when you say when something happens like this, what are you talking about?
We might have a person that falls, if a person falls, or we have a theft of a bag, or, we have had bags, people's personal belongings stolen while they're in the valet area or in the waiting area. So we have to go back and get it if it's something that I think the hospital might be responsible for. So then we have the video saved. And so that's areas like this. So with a gunshot victim coming in, that was video that I was thinking that we might need at a later date. So rather than waiting for it to be requested, when I got the report, I said, could you go back, and my technical security manager, she has expertise over the cameras. So I requested that she go back and save that video from the time of the report that the person came in until see what footage we had and just save from that time in that time frame.
Okay. So just to go back just a little bit. You thought the gunshot wound victim coming in was a significant event that you needed to record.
Right.
To keep. So you directed your technical support person to download the video.
Right.
And you did this without the prompting from Atlanta Police Department.
Right.
Or any other.
Submitting and repeating the testimony. Testify. Well, I think that's been going on in a whole lot of directions, but if you want to set a new principle, that folks ought not to repeat.
I'll move on. I was just trying to clarify because she said a whole lot, but I will move on.
All right.
On September 25th or September 26th, did Atlanta Police Department ever come to ask for the video? Or anyone from that agency?
Well, Ms. Griffin called to see if we had surveillance.
Investigator Johnny Griffin?
Yes.
Do you know where she works?
Someplace in Fulton County. I know she's a chief investigator.
Okay. And after the videos were downloaded, did you view them?
Somewhat, not completely.
How long were the videos that you viewed?
A couple minutes, less.
Okay. And after you received them from your technical support person, what did you do with them?
I can't remember if I gave them to our risk management, Susan Lamarcus, or if I gave them to Steve. And Steve, I can't remember his license. I know he works for our legal general counsel.
And once you gave them to him, did you advise Ms. Griffin what you did with the videos?
Yes, I told her that, who had possession of them.
Okay. I'm going to show you what the Previously Market States Exhibit number 217. Have you seen this before?
Yes.
And what are the contents of that?
That right there is the valet area of the vehicle driving in, with the victim getting out of the vehicle with our staff and then bringing her in through the emergency room doors, right off of the triage area.
And is that are those the two videos that you provided to your attorney, the attorney, or either your risk manager?
Yes.
And do there appear to be any alterations or deletions to the videos?
No.
Your Honor, permission to introduce State's Exhibit number 217 and publish?
Okay. It's admitted. You may publish.
Do you recall when investigator Griffin asked you for the video?
It was shortly after the incident. It wasn't that long after. No, it wasn't that far off.
Okay. And did you ever speak with a detective, Darren Smith, regarding the video?
No, I don't recall.
Okay. And Ms. Scott Harris, what area are we looking at?
The valet.
And this view is kept by the hospital, not the valet company?
Yes.
And what is the timestamp on this video at this time? Can you see it?
10:02.
Okay. And if you could, do you know how the time is calibrated on the surveillance system?
Well, the exact vision is a server in itself, and we download it onto the hospital server. So it's like a server in a server. So you download the picture, and that's when we go back and show the video. It basically gives you the time that the incident was occurring. And then if you look, well, on ours, we have a server time at the bottom, and then we have a computer time. But on this one right here, just basically give you the time and the date that the video was actually shot in real time.
Okay. And were you there this evening?
No.
Now, you said there was the server for the camera system and then the server for the hospital. What's the difference between the times of the two servers?
Well, when, with Exact Vision, that right there, when the cameras are installed, we manually program the date and time.
Okay.
Where the Emory server that is already with the program.
Okay. And is there a difference between the two times?
If you manually key it in, it could possibly be a different time. You know, it could be off somewhat.
And did you check the difference recently?
No. I inquired about the time change recently, if it updated itself.
Okay. And does it?
Yes.
I'm just going to rewind it just a little bit. If you could tell me what time the white SUV is entering into the field of the camera.
That is it right there. Right at the base of the driveway is 10:02.
10:02 what?
And 50 seconds.
If you could have used a pointer. Ms. Cotton, I'll just right here.
This
You
pointer
could
right
just
here.
turn around and point to where the time is.
You may need to get up and watch out, there's a step,
Yeah,
so
I
once
see
you
that.
fall.
It's right here, it's the time, 10:02 and 50 seconds.
Okay. I'm going to show you the other. And when this one starts, what's the time on that one? On that?
Let me point to that one too.
Yes, please.
Oh, no, wait. 10:03. 10:03 in 5 seconds.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm good.
I want to ask all our public safety director.
No, don't want to do that.
Do you know who this guy is?
Not by name, I know he's a valet attendant.
Okay. Do you know who that is?
I just know there are ER nurses in right there in the uniform, that's Anthony Shaw.
And who is Mr. Shaw?
He's the supervisor for nights.
Is he employed by
Public safety,
or by
Emory Public Safety.
Okay. Do you know where they're going?
They're going out to the ballet area.
And what time is this saying?
10:05 and 15 seconds.
Okay. And I want to go back to this one and I'm going to fast forward it a little bit. And here it shows that they arrive at 10:02.
Yes.
And you see the guy in the red shirt?
Yes.
Do you know who the guy in the white shirt is?
Not by name, but I know he's a valet attendant also.
And the time here that it shows that they entered what time?
It's 10:04 and 45 seconds.
Do you recall talking to our investigator, John Griffin, within like the last 2 weeks?
Yes.
Do you recall if she asked you about the timing on the cameras and on the server?
She did. She said there was a difference in time. And I was not really certain. And I said that our technical security manager, Vanessa Moore, would be able to assist her in understanding the time difference.
Did you ever speak to Vanessa?
I did, and I put them in contact with one another.
Thank you.
All right.
You just know you may not go. Maybe more questions. Mr. Samuel. You're close though.
Okay.
Just use that. Okay. And then hit play. We were looking at the video again from the beginning, correct?
Yes.
The car is not yet in view, correct?
Somewhat.
The Ford Expedition?
It's right at the very...
There it is,
there
correct?
It is. Yes.
It has flashing lights, correct?
Well, the lights appear to be flashing.
The lights are flashing.
Okay.
Okay. Mr. McIver in the red shirt gets out before the car even stops, correct? And starts walking up towards the entrance, correct?
I see him.
And he's trying to open the door while the car is still moving, correct?
He's walking next to the vehicle, yes.
And he's walking to try to open the car door, correct? We lose sight of him because the front door is a little...
Objection, Your Honor. Cause of speculation.
Sustained.
Do you see him walking up alongside the car as it's still moving?
Yes.
Coming up to the emergency room entrance, correct?
I see him walking up towards the vehicle, yes.
Right. He's not leisurely walking up to the ER while the car's parked, correct?
He's not rushing, but he's walking, yes.
Right. He's walking alongside the moving car.
Objection, Your Honor. Active.
Sustained.
Okay. There's no sound in this, right? You can't hear what he's saying?
No.
Okay. Do you know where he is right now in the image?
No.
Well, wait a couple seconds. You have two of your employees.
Objection, Your Honor. Testifying.
Just wait a second.
I see him, I see him, I see him.
Okay. He's helping get the patient out of the front seat, correct?
He's right there, right by the driver's door, or the door.
And now we have ER people coming out, the nurses coming out?
Yes,
Okay. They have a wheelchair,
yes.
correct? And now the patient's being put in the wheelchair, correct?
She's in the wheelchair, yes.
And he's doing what he can to help get the wheelchair in through the, whatever those yellow poles are called, and then into the ER, correct?
Yes.
Tell me about this time difference problem.
I was not quite sure. I heard there was a time difference, but I wasn't for sure. With the cameras itself, when we install the cameras for exact vision, those are manually set when we install the cameras.
So we have one camera at the door looking out, one camera at the side looking at the cars coming in, correct?
Right.
And they're not even at the same time, correct?
I'm not sure.
Okay,
I'm only looking at the time on the exact vision.
okay. And so it's somewhere around 10:04, 10:05 according to your clocks.
On the exact vision is 10:04 and 43 seconds, yes.
All right. Have you counted the number of seconds between the time he gets out of the car and the time the people come out of the, with the wheelchair and all?
I wasn't looking at the time then.
You have anything that records sound at all?
Not that I'm aware of.
That's all he says. Anything else, Ms. Griffin?
For gunshot wound victim, wouldn't they normally come out with a gurney?
It just kind of depends, you know, on what they're told when you get on the inside.
Okay.
You know, what message is being delivered.
Okay. So normally, if they knew it was a gunshot wound, they would have brought out a gurney?
They would have brought out a gurney.
That's not what she said. I object to the restating falsely what the witness said.
Okay, Mr. Samuel.
Could
Why don't
you
you
repeat
ask
what
it-
you said?
Okay.
I said, it depends on the information that they're given when whoever, if it's the valet or just a customer standing out there and coming in and said that I have somebody in the car and what the severity of the injury or the illness is, that they will bring out, you know, a gurney. But I think because the wheelchair was there, that's probably why they used it, because valet had already pulled it there.
Okay. Thank you. No other question.
Any follow-up on that, Mr. Samuel? Okay. Any questions from the jurors? Thank you. Someone on your team getting the video to the video that shows the driveway area. Thank you.
Just a valet video. That's all.
Is there a way to move it to the end, or you can't move it along?
I can scrub it, I think. I just don't want it to go too far.
So the question is, and we'll see, Scott Harris, what's contained on the video, if you are able to tell from timestamps when it is that the car we've been asking you about pulls away. So you can move it forward a little more.
It's right now, 10:04.
So can you pause it, please? What's the time stamp for when the vehicle's pulling away?
10:04:45. Oh, wait, 44, because you can just see the shadow of it right there.
Okay. Any follow-up based on that, Ms. Griffin?
No follow-up.
Mr. Samuel? No. All right. Thank you, ma'am, for your time. Now you make it.
All right, appreciate
Don't trip on your way out. Is the state's next witness the one you said needed the setup time? Yes. Yes? Yes, sir. Okay, great. We're going to take our morning break. We got through a few witnesses. The next witness needs to be set up. So we'll try to get you back in here at 10 of 11. Don't talk about the case while you're back there. If you are running low on any supplies, let Deputy Murphy know, and we'll do what we can to. Anything from the state before we break? Okay. This is clearly going to
Your
go.
Honor, I have your exhibit list now.
Thank you.
Sorry about that.
No problem.
You have the extra copy? Yeah, you can just email it. Either way. Okay, that's all. Either one for you.
All right, we'll be back in about 8 minutes. Thank you. Ready, Ms. Harris?
Yes, sir.
All right, would you check on the jurors, see if they're ready to go?
Yes, sir.
Yes, it's okay for Detective Morgan to just be there, or do you want him to step out so I
Oh,
can
no,
follow
no,
him?
no,
Okay.
that's fine. They'll appreciate that he's already there.
All rise for the juror. All jurors are present and accounted for, Judge.
Thank you, Deputy Murphy. You all can be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. For your planning purposes, we're going to need to break for lunch a little before 12:30. I have to go run a meeting somewhere for about a half hour. So wherever we are, when we get to a natural break point just before 12:30, that's when we'll break for lunch. If you'd call your next witness, please.
Yes, Your Honor, State Police Detective Morgan.
Detective Morgan. Good morning.
Please, Detective, raise your right hand. Do you swear and affirm that the testimony you should give the court today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Yes, sir. Please have a seat. Get as close to the mic as possible. For the purposes of the court record, please state your name and spell.
I'm Detective Gary Morgan. It's G-A-R-Y-M-O-R,
Good morning, Detective.
Good morning.
And let's start by introducing yourself again to the jurors. Tell them your name and where you are currently working.
I'm Detective Morgan. I currently work as a crime scene investigator for the Sandy Springs Police Department.
And how long have you been with the Sandy Springs Police Department?
I've been with the Sandy Springs Police Department for approximately 2 years.
Okay, and tell them a little bit about your current assignment within Sandy Springs PD.
My current assignment as a crime scene investigator, I'm responsible for the documentation and the processing of all evidence that comes through the department. Documentation methods may range from photography, just with a standard camera, to scanning an accident scene or a crime scene with a 3D laser scanner.
And do you have any special training that allows you to do the job that you just told the jurors about?
Yes, I have multiple crime scene investigator classes. I've also been trained by the manufacturer of my software and hardware for 3D laser scanning.
Okay, and you've mentioned 3D laser scanning a couple times now. Tell the jury a little bit more about what you do with a 3D laser scanner. What is that?
3D laser scanning is a method to document a crime scene or an accident scene. It can actually be used for documenting building construction as well. It's used in my specific field to document a scene specifically as if we were there at the time. The up to it, as opposed to traditional photography is only a 2D plane, 3D laser scanning creates an entire 3D plane, an entire 3D area that we can freely navigate through at will.
And what kinds of scenes, just generally, what kinds of scenes have you been able to use this training and technology, the 3D scanning?
We've used it for training purposes. We've used it to recreate buildings in the event of an active assailant. It gives us a nice 3D model to fly through, take our officers or SWAT operators through. We've used it to document and reconstruct accident scenes. We've also used it to document and reconstruct other crime scenes, homicide, shooting reconstructions, bloodstain pattern analysis. It's a very, very well-rounded suite of hardware and software.
And is this something that every agency in the state has access to? Tell the jury a little bit about how Sandy Springs gets access to the software and capabilities that you told the jury about.
No, there are not very many agencies that are currently using it in the state of Georgia. I believe there are approximately 4. It has been admitted to court here in the state of Georgia before, but it is still a newer technology. It's still a rather expensive technology. It requires lots of training, lots of man hours to...
Okay.
Your Honor, I'm about to tender an image.
I'm objecting to the document.
Great, so let's get to the document.
I will. I'm going to show you first before I do that. States Exhibit 235 through 238 and States Exhibit 234. Understanding there's no objection from the defense.
Well, they're not documents. They're going to go out to the jury.
Okay.
I'm just going to have to take a quick look at each of these and let me know if you recognize them.
So this is 234 and then 235 through 238. Okay.
Yes, I do recognize these documents.
Okay, the set of paper that I gave you, 235 through 238, fair to say that these are documents related to the actual technology itself, that it's working and operational, and you're training in that particular technology.
That's absolutely correct.
Okay. Tell the jury, did you at some point get requested to become involved in doing some 3D scans related to this case?
Yes, I was contacted by the Fulton County District Attorney's Office in reference to creating an end product for scanning. I was requested, excuse me, I was requested to go to a scene and produce a series of scans which will ultimately, excuse me, which ultimately produce the end product that you will be shown today.
And what are the 2 scenes that you took a look at our request?
The first scene is a stretch of road extending from 10th Street down in Midtown to Piedmont Street, and then from Piedmont all the way up to 14th Street. The second scene was an interior scan of the hospital and also an exterior scan of the hospital to include the valet area outside of the emergency department.
And your final product, this sort of 3D environment that you've been telling the jurors about, is that contained on the computer that you have there in front of you?
Yes, the 3D environment that is created is here on the computer. I've also created 2 fly-through videos which will fly anybody who's able to look at this video through pre-positioned points. You lose the ability to move around in a completely 3D environment, but it is more user-friendly, it's more accessible as well.
Okay, so for example, the hospital environment we've been talking about, the video you created will allow somebody who's actually in the hospital to sort of point out where they were.
That's absolutely correct. Anybody that was in the hospital or that even goes to that hospital at a later date will be able to recognize the hospital, recognize the layout, and say, yes, I was here at this point in this time. I was standing in this corner of the room, and they will be able to recognize that through these scans.
All right, let's start. I've spoken to defense counsel, and because the actual software, Your Honor, is on his computer, I'm going to just call it States Exhibit 230. 234.
Great.
A, as the demonstrative portion, we're going to show the jury, understanding there's no objection, I would ask Your Honor permission to publish it to the jury.
Okay. Is it going to come out on the big screens, or everyone has to huddle around
It's
the
going
little
to be
screen?
on the main board right here.
That one there?
Yes.
One with the little circles on, the big circles on? Okay.
Yes. Okay, if you would go ahead and walk the jurors through, I'm going to turn this for you.
All right, so here we have an overview of the roadway scans that were taken. These 4 markers here are just identifiers to show what street we are on, what street we are on, what street we are approaching. You will see that also in the fly-through video, just to kind of orient ourselves a little bit better. So with this 3D environment, we are able to completely control where we would like to view from.
And when we get into the environment, where are we sort of beginning? Tell the jurors what street and intersection we're beginning.
So we are beginning on 10th Street, going eastbound towards Piedmont. If you were coming from Peachtree, if you're coming from Peachtree by 10th, this is the route that you would take in order to get to Piedmont.
So what street are we traveling on now?
We are currently traveling on 10th Street. And here we are at the corner of 10th and Piedmont.
And tell the jurors the sort of rainbow crosswalk that we see there, was that there at the time in September of 2016, if you know?
No, the rainbow crosswalks would not have been there September of 2016. The rainbow crosswalks were added, I believe, June of 2017. But as they were there on the dates that I completed my scans, they are thus rendered in the final product.
The turn that you just made, tell the jury where did you turn onto?
We just turned left onto Piedmont. We are now traveling northbound on Piedmont, going towards 11th Street. Now we are approaching Piedmont and 12th Street.
Okay. When you get to Piedmont and 12th, stop for me. And this scan that you did, does it allow you to kind of take a look around the environment there?
Yes, it most certainly does. So we have Piedmont Park on our right, going back south towards Piedmont and 10th. And then we have Piedmont and 12th. This is coming from 12th Street eastbound.
That intersection that we just looked at there, are you able to then make a left right there to get up back to Peachtree?
Yes, you would be able to make a left here in order to get back to Peachtree.
Okay. If you continue on straight, tell us what the next sort of intersection is there.
All right. Here we are approaching 13th and Piedmont.
Okay. Are you able to take a left there as well?
You are not. This is 13th Street is a one-way road. We can actually see the do not enter signs placed here, and this is the stop sign coming eastbound.
Is there a traffic light there at that intersection?
There is not a traffic light.
What's the next major traffic light?
The next major traffic light is going to be at Piedmont and 14th, which we will see momentarily.
Can you go back for me?
I most certainly can.
Okay. The business that we just passed on our left-hand side, you know what business that is?
Yes, this is the Nook. We can actually see the sign for it right here.
Okay.
So.
Tell the jurors a little bit what we see on the sort of side here. What is that there on the side?
This area here?
Yes.
So the first day that the scanner is only able to record what it sees, line of sight. If I were to place the scanner back here behind this TV, it would not be able to record anything on that side of the courtroom because it cannot see it. Initially, when these scans were taken, there was a large area that was not recorded due to traffic, due to the red light here. That area was re-recorded, but there was cloud cover. So when the pictures are taken, it changes the lighting when there is cloud cover. So that's where you get this kind of lighter gray area than the rest of the roadway. And here we are coming up on Piedmont and 14th Street.
As you turn to the right there, at that main intersection, what do we see right there?
This is the main entrance to Piedmont Park.
What about in the other direction?
Coming off this way?
Yes.
All right. This is an entire three-way intersection. You have traffic coming eastbound that can only make a right turn, and then you have traffic coming southbound on Piedmont onto 14th that they are only able to make a right turn and thus travel back westbound.
How far with the scan that you have there created can you take us down 14th?
Down 14th, I am only able to take you where the data ends here. The closest scan position was taken from right about here and then on this corner as well. I believe I also took a couple scans from this center median. So the data that we have here where this line ends is the furthest that it recorded.
And when you say a scan, that's you with the actual machine itself taking a series of images, is that right?
Yes, that's every scan position. I set up a tripod. After I've set up the scanner itself, I've set my resolution settings. I hit the start button, and from there, once the scan is complete, it is then I take it back into the software to register it. Registration is where it's all put back together. Once the software determines where the scans are in relation to one another, that is when it creates this final product.
Okay, and if we kept going straight down on Piedmont from the direction that we've been showing the jury, how far up from where you're standing right here in your scan about would you say is the entrance to the Botanical Gardens?
The entrance to the Botanical Gardens is, I believe, roughly a half a mile from this intersection. If we would have continued the scans up for another half a mile, we would have seen the entrance to the Botanical Gardens.
Okay. If you could, let's go to the next scan. The next sort of environment that we're going to show the jury is where?
The next environment that we will be showing is going to be at the hospital. That is Emory University Hospital.
The process we've been talking about, how you get this data to create this same process you use for Emory?
It is the exact same process that was used for Emory. I set the tripod and the scanner up in a number of positions. After the scan positions are all taken and acquired, the software will then process them, will then register them, and create our final product.
And for these images, did you also include the valet area as well?
Yes, I also included the valet area outside of the emergency department.
Okay, let's show them.
So here we have the valet area. Any vehicles coming would approach like so of these three separate aisles, and ultimately where they are stopped here, and then valet would take their vehicle. If anybody would need to enter the emergency department, they would head back this way. So we cross through the doors here, we can see the sign for the emergency department. And off to the right we have the main triage desk and then the main emergency department waiting room.
Did you actually treatment portion of the hospital as well?
I did enter the treatment portion of the hospital. Once we cross through these double doors here, we enter the treatment portion of the hospital. This is the first nurses station in the emergency department. We hang a right here, and now we reach operating room 2.
So this is actually going to allow you to, basically like you're in the room, you can actually look all around the room.
I can look all around the room. We can come over to the sink here. We can come to the bed, back behind the bed itself. This is actually conjoining to another room that would be this way. We did not take scans of that other room. But if you were to walk down this hallway straight ahead, that would reach to the second operating room.
What about any other meeting rooms or areas that you were asked to scan on this level?
Yes, I was also asked to scan a couple of other areas. So here we have the hallway going from the operating room back to the main nurses station. And if we were to continue straight out of these doors, this would lead to the ambulance bays. We hang a right here. And then on our left, we have our family consult room. And we can exit the room, come down to the next nurse's station, and look back the other way.
See sort of where the ambulance, all the trucks would pull in up the ramp there?
Yes, if you were to go straight out of these doors, this area would be where all of the ambulances would pull up. There's a ramp that goes from the main road, curves back around, and then they park right in this area here.
And are all of these images that we just saw on this first sort of main level of the emergency department of the hospital?
Yes, all of these images, these scans that were captured, with the exception of outside, are all inside of the emergency department. The outside area is the valet area to the emergency department.
Okay. Detective, because we talked about the limitations of, do you actually have to have this computer and that software to be able to move around that environment?
In order to move around this environment in a fully 3D manner where we can fly around as I have today, you would have to have the same or very similar software. Very similar hardware as well, dealing with your computer. Most regular computers can't process this type of information. It's too much information for the computers to process effectively. So you would need very specific equipment in order to create this. You would need very specific equipment to produce it and view it as well.
Okay, and so as a result of that, did you make 2 videos for us?
Yes, I made 2 videos. They were uploaded onto a USB flash drive. The 2 videos are separate fly-through videos, which are in fact able to operate on pretty much any computer, any modern computer nowadays. I can actually pull them up here and just play it straight through. All right, so first we will have the roadway fly-through. So here, as we were traveling east down 10th Street towards Piedmont, we had the fire station there on our left. We're now once again approaching 10th and Piedmont. And now we are turning left to travel northbound on Piedmont.
What are the sort of notations that we see popping up there?
These notations that are seen popping up are the notations that give us a visual reminder of where we are, what street intersection we're approaching. If the notation was not there, then it would rely solely on your knowledge of the area to know that here we are at 12th and Piedmont, or approaching 12th and Piedmont. We continue to have Piedmont Park on our right, and now we are approaching Piedmont and 13th.
That's the one-way we talked about.
Yes, that is the one-way street. It only travels eastbound. We're approaching the Nook restaurant on our left, and here is Piedmont and 14th. On our right is the main entrance to Piedmont Park, now behind us. We're going to fly around in a circle, and now we are going to go up and above the scene to get an overall layout of the entire span of the scene. Once a video is rendered in this way, it can freely be paused, freely be rewinded, or fast forwarded as needed.
Okay. And so if I wanted to go back to something,
We'd have to do it on here.
once it's on here. Okay.
Once it is on here, the two videos that I have produced are on this this computer here. So the assistant district attorney, also the defense attorneys, will be able to control it using this board as well.
Okay. Let's show the jury the next, the fly-through of the hospital.
And we start with an overhead image before we will be taken down to the valet area for the emergency department.
The brand name we see on there, is that the technology you use to make this?
Yes, the specific brand of technology that we use, the company is called Faro. Scene is the specific software that I use to produce my products. So we can see the emergency signs on our right. Now we are heading through the main doors into the emergency apartment.
Main sort of waiting room we talked about before?
Yes, this is the main emergency department waiting room.
Is this waiting room actually inside the treatment portion, or is it separate from it?
This is not inside of the treatment portion. Before anybody is allowed into the treatment portion, they must first be triaged at this main desk here, and then in the room that is to our right, which was not scanned due to privacy concerns. Also, there were other patients in there at the time.
So now we just pass through the doors and we're in sort of treatment?
Yes, so now we have passed through the doors. We're in the main treatment area. We're getting ready to turn left to head back towards the operating room. Now we are flying into operating room 2. Now this is a view from the main nurses station, and this will take us back to the emergency bay.
Is the doors we talked about out there?
These are the doors that head straight to where the ambulances are parked. And this is the family console room. After we head outside of the family console room, we're heading to another nurse's station. And And now we are going back down the hall towards the ambulance bay.
Same capabilities with this animation as well. You can go back and reorient yourself with what you created for us.
Yes, if we needed to rewind the video in order to show a different viewpoint or a specific viewpoint, we can rewind the video, we can fast forward it, pause it if we need to as well. And here we are back in the main waiting room for the emergency department. We're going to go in a counterclockwise route this time.
And will that play through basically all the other important areas in the hospital?
Yes, it will. It will continuously, it's set on a loop, it will continuously play until it is stopped and ultimately closed.
Pause for me.
I most certainly can.
Detective, once you completed the scans and then this animation for the jury of both these environments, did it complete your involvement in this particular case?
Outside of my court appearance, yes, it has completed my involvement in this case.
And at any point were you engaged or sort of brought on by the Atlanta Police Department, or has your involvement been solely with the DA's office?
My involvement here has solely been with the Fulton County District Attorney's Office.
And did you have anything to do with sort of the initial part of this investigation or this case in any way?
I had nothing to do with the initial investigation for this case. I was actually contacted to begin scanning on this case February 22nd, 2018.
I don't have any other questions, Your Honor. Any further?
The 14th Street intersection, Piedmont and 14th Street.
Yes, sir.
There's 4 lanes heading north, correct?
I would have to look back at the scans just to make sure.
Forget it then. It's a one-way street heading north as you come. Are you from Atlanta? I mean now?
Originally, no, sir.
You're here now?
I'm here now, yes.
Do you know Piedmont?
Roughly.
I mean, you sat out there with your tripod and your scanning machines. Piedmont is one way heading north, right, as you come out of 10th Street?
Yes, that's correct. Piedmont's a one-way street until you get to 14th Street.
Okay, and it's either, how many lanes do you think it is, if you don't remember?
It's approximately 4 lanes.
Okay, and when you get to 14th Street, if you're in the 2 left lanes, you're required to turn left. Because the oncoming traffic coming south suddenly is 2 ways, correct?
That is correct, yes. If you are in the 2 left lanes on Piedmont approaching 14th Street, you are required to turn left.
And if you're in the right 2 lanes, you go straight.
That's correct.
You can't turn left from the right 2 lanes.
You could if you made an illegal turn.
Well, plus you, not just illegal, but you might hit 2 other cars, and you'd be dealing with oncoming traffic also.
Yes, that's correct.
All right. Now, the scan that you did, for some reason, starts on 10th Street, as if to create the impression that the car is coming east on 10th Street and then turning left on Piedmont. You with me?
Yes, I am.
As if you're coming from Peachtree down 10th Street towards the park and then turning left on Piedmont. You gotta say yes or no.
Yes.
And if a car was coming from downtown on Piedmont, it wouldn't be coming on 10th Street, would it?
I do not know.
Well, I'll repeat the question because it answered itself. If you're coming on Piedmont, sometimes known as rhetorical, if the car is coming north on Piedmont from Ponce or North or Edgewood, straight on Piedmont, you would cross 10th Street, right?
That is correct.
You wouldn't be coming east on 10th Street and turning left on Piedmont.
That's correct.
So why did you start your scan coming down 10th Street and turning left on Piedmont rather than starting on Piedmont and just going north?
I was asked to position my scans by the district attorney's office on 10th Street.
Why?
I was not called to do a full reconstruction of the scene or of where any vehicles may or may not have been
Why were you
at the time
told
of
to
the
start
incident.
on 10th Street, not on Piedmont?
I'm going to object, Your Honor, as to why he was told something for this answer.
Well, he's going to try to answer. I mean, the question, if he knows, he can answer. If you don't know, you don't know.
Right, my objection would be speculation.
I do not know specifically why I was asked to begin my scans. I was asked solely to begin my scans on 10th Street and then continue eastbound towards Piedmont.
And then turn left on Piedmont.
Yes, that is correct.
Is it because the district attorney's office wanted to show the existence of a fire station on 10th Street?
Just answer that question.
Did they say that to you?
Don't, just stop. Do you have a...
Did they say that to you, that they wanted you to start on 10th Street because they wanted the jury to see the fire station?
I do not know what the district attorney's office intent was in producing these scans. I only know that I was asked to produce these scans.
You were specifically asked just now by the prosecutor, is there a fire station on 10th Street?
I object, Your Honor, as a mischaracterization of testimony and questioning.
I don't remember that.
Did you show a fire station on 10th Street?
I did show a fire station on 10th Street.
And the district attorney asked you about the fire station on 10th Street as you were depicting the scan, correct?
I object again, Your Honor, as a mischaracterization.
The record's going to show what it shows, so asking what just happened, the jurors are going to recall what happened.
If a car was driving north on Piedmont, it wouldn't have crossed or passed a fire station on 10th Street, would it?
That's correct.
It wouldn't see a fire station on 10th Street.
That is correct.
I'll ask you again, do you know why you were asked to start the scan on 10th Street?
Same objection, Your Honor.
Sustained.
Are there any fire stations on Piedmont that you saw in your scan?
No, there were not.
Any police stations on Piedmont?
Not that I am aware of.
Any redirect?
No, Your Honor.
Any questions for Investigator Morgan? Yes. Thank you.
pursuing pleasure in mind and not any regards to speed of a vehicle or speed of a person.
And one other question, lighting. Can you tell if it's night or day other than having a street light appears to be lit?
Yes, so any scans, if a scan was done at night, then unless there was really good lighting, we would actually not be able to render color. We would not be able to capture any color if the scans were at nighttime. It would just be a black and white image. The scans that were completed were all captured in daylight.
That's all.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You gonna take all that equipment away or leave it for us to play with?
If you'd like, sir.
No. To me. So we can be thinking about the next witness. Who's the state's next witness? Okay. Sure that'll all get spelled. It's number 43.
His first name is P-A-U-L-O-S. Last name is W-E-L-D-E-G-I-O-R-G-I-S.
Do you swear and affirm that the testimony you should give in court today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Yes, sir. If you will, please have a seat. Get as close to the mic as you can. For the purposes of the court's record, please state and spell your name.
Okay. My name is Paulos Valdegerkis. Do you want to spell my name?
You need to spell both those.
Okay, I'll just spell it.
Please. That's okay.
Okay. P-A-U-L-O-S. That's my first name. Last name W-E-L-D-E-G-I-O-R-G-I-S.
Thank you.
Okay.
Good morning.
Okay.
Where are you from?
I'm originally from Eritrea, to be in East African.
Could you speak up a little bit for me?
Okay, sorry, my voice is very soft, sorry for that one, okay. My country is, I was from Eritrea, that is a small country from East Africa.
Okay. And how long have you been in the United States?
Since September 18, 2012, almost 5 years and 6 months.
And how far have you gone in school?
Georgia State student, third year.
Okay, you went to Georgia State?
Yes, I'm a Georgia student, third year, yeah. So my third year.
And you're currently in school right
Yeah,
now?
full-time students in Georgia State.
And what are you taking up? What are you studying?
Respiratory care.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I didn't understand.
Respiratory care, yeah.
Can you scoot a little closer to the microphone?
Oh, okay.
That'll help everyone. Thank you.
And where are you currently employed?
I work as a part-time in Emory Hospital with the advanced parking service. It's a part-time.
And how long have you been employed there?
Since June 2015.
Okay. And you said you work part-time. What days of the week do you work?
Usually in the weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
And were you employed there on September 25th, 2016?
Yeah.
And what hours do you typically work?
Second shift after 1 to 9:30 usually.
Are there any other shifts you may work?
No.
Okay. And were you working on September 25th, 2016?
What's that?
Were you working at the Valet area on September 25th, 2016?
Yes, I'm.
And do you recall a white SUV arriving with the injured woman inside?
Yes, I remember.
Could you please describe to the jury what you remember once the truck arrived?
Okay. The white SUV, it was coming, I didn't remember the exact times, it was in between 9 to 10. And the guy, he was jumped out from the car and he was shouting, said that a gunshot at the back. And I helped him to bring a wheelchair, and he asked me to help him to pull out her from the car, but we are not allowed to touch any patient. It was because of the against rule of the company. I didn't help him. And the other guy, he go inside and called for the nurses to help him.
Okay. And I'm going to show you State's Exhibits 239 and 240. Do you recognize these?
Yes, I remember it.
Okay, I'm sure 240. Do you recognize that?
Yes, that's me.
All right. And is that an accurate depiction of what you remember from September 25th, 2016?
Yes, it is.
Do there appear to be any alterations or deletions to those photos?
What's that?
Do the photos appear to be altered in any way?
No.
Okay. Your Honor, permission to introduce State's Exhibits 239 and 240 and publish.
No objection, they're admitted.
I'm going to show you State's Exhibit 239. And in this, still from the video, which person are you?
The person with the white t-shirt.
Okay. And who is in the yellow shirt?
His name's Jared. He was a greater in the front.
Okay, he was a, what in the front?
Greater, just like supervisor.
Okay.
Yeah, that.
And so he was greeting people?
Yes, he's greater.
Okay. And when you brought the wheelchair, did you ever go inside the hospital?
No, I think I find the wheelchair in front of the building. Yeah. Did you see the guy who was sitting in the waiting room? I think I find the wheelchair somewhere around there.
Okay. And when you saw the man that came up and said gunshot, was he already in the car or outside of the car?
There wasn't a car before him. He was, there's another lady driving the car, and he was far away from the Gretchen place. Then I told him to pull up, and when he jumped out from the car, he shouting and coming to me, said that there's a gunshot in the back. That's what he said.
Okay. And did you tell anyone else that it was a gunshot?
No.
And did you speak to the lady that was driving the car?
Yes.
Okay. And did you tell the man in the yellow shirt that it was a gunshot?
No.
Okay. When you heard that, was there anyone else around? Do you remember?
No.
Did you ever assist in taking the lady out of the car?
Yes, she wanted to park the car by herself, and I told her if someone is coming to the emergency and they will give you a validation, they don't have to pay for that one. So I give you a ticket, and I said we are going to park your car.
Okay. So the lady that was driving attempted to park her car.
Mm-hmm.
Did you park it?
No, other person park it. I didn't park the car, but I give her the ticket.
Okay. And after you gave her the ticket, did you see her later on that night?
No.
And did any police officers talk to you that night?
No.
What about the next day?
No.
Do you recall when it was the first time you spoke to someone about what happened that night?
No.
When you were getting the lady that was injured out of the car, did she say anything?
No.
Did you speak to any of the nurses once they came out?
No, I didn't speak it. I mean, the other guy yelled, go inside and tell them to come to help him, but I didn't have an opportunity to speak to them. I didn't speak to them.
Did anyone ever ask you to go and get the SUV so that they could get something out of it?
No.
And after this incident, do you remember how long you stayed at work that night?
I mean, that's the last day. I didn't stay maybe 20 minutes or something after that. Yeah, I didn't park any car after that. That's my last car.
Okay, that was your last car?
Yes.
Okay. I have another question.
Mr. Samuel.
As the white Ford Expedition is pulling into the ER, is this the man that jumped out of the car? Do you recognize him?
I didn't recognize his face.
Okay.
But he wearing a red t-shirt. I remember that guy.
Wearing a red shirt.
Yeah.
He gets out of the passenger rear door, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. And yells at you, gunshot wound to the back, is that correct?
He said there was a gunshot. I heard, I think, it's a big gunshot at the back, but I'm not sure. I remember he said a gunshot.
Okay. Did he say, I need help?
Yes.
Okay. Gunshot, I need help.
Yes.
You then run into the emergency department, correct?
No, I go to bring the wheelchair. And the other guy go to the emergency to call for the nurses.
Okay. Your colleague ran in to get the nurses.
No, the other guy. Go ahead.
Sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry to be repeating it.
It's okay.
I'm just trying to get it right, so be patient with me. He says gunshot, I need help. You grab a wheelchair.
Mm-hmm.
Say yes or no, please.
Yes, okay, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
And then, who is the other person and what does he or she do?
He's the supervisor and the
Your
grader.
supervisor?
No, the other guy is the supervisor.
The guy in the yellow shirt?
The guy in the yellow shirt, yeah.
And is he with the valet company or is he with the hospital?
Oh, with the Valet company. That's my supervisor.
Also valet company. So you're not allowed to touch the patient, correct?
We are not allowed to touch the patient, yeah.
Okay. So he goes into the hospital.
Yes.
You don't know what he says, do you?
No.
Okay. Did he hear the person in the red shirt come out and say gunshot?
Objection, Your Honor, false speculation.
Well, was he within earshot of when the person came out with the red shirt and said gunshot, I need help?
Yes.
Okay. So is it your opinion that he would have heard the same thing you heard?
Could you say the question? I didn't understand the question.
He didn't understand your question.
Yeah, I didn't understand the question, yeah.
But there's an objection, so I don't want to restate it if the objection is going to be sustained. I'm asking under 701 for an opinion based on his observation.
Objection, Your Honor. He can't say what someone else heard. It's false speculation.
I'll allow it.
In your opinion, was he standing essentially close enough so that he would have heard the man in the red shirt say, gunshot, I need help? Did your supervisor, in your opinion, hear that?
I don't know, maybe he can't hear it, yeah, because we are close to each other, you know. But I'm not so sure whether he heard or not.
Okay. But he goes into the hospital then, and you grab a wheelchair?
Yes.
Okay. And when he comes out of the hospital, or who comes out of the hospital? A bunch of nurses?
The nurses, yeah.
They come running out. You saw a video of that, correct?
Yes.
You supplied the wheelchair, the nurses come out of the hospital, and the patient is, you saw a video taken out of the car and brought inside, correct?
Okay, when I grabbed the wheelchair, before the nurses came, the person, he tried to pull her out, and he said, help me. Said, I can't help him, just I have to hold on the wheelchair only.
The person in the red shirt said, help me.
Yes, help me, yeah.
And you said, I'm not allowed to.
I didn't say to him, but just I only hold the wheelchair.
You held the wheelchair. And then the nurses came out and helped.
Yes.
And they go in, right?
Yes.
Did the person in the red shirt, did he seem, do you know the word leisurely and relaxed about it? Or was he excited and upset and frantic?
I didn't recognize his expression, his face at that time. I don't think so. I remember it. That's why.
You don't remember his expression?
Yeah, I didn't express.
Any follow-up?
Oh, wait.
Whoop.
That's all.
Okay. No follow-up? Any questions from the jurors? No? Yes, raise your hand if I can't necessarily see if the, all right, questions coming. Thank you. Explain to the jury, please, why you didn't run into the hospital to share the information about gunshot, but instead you went and got a wheelchair.
Okay, I mean, our job is to park all the cars. So the only job I have to do is to bring the car, and the other person, he already got to the inside. I'm inside to call for someone for help. So the only option I have to bring the car, the wheelchair only. And that's my job, I think so.
Okay, so you said you saw the gentleman with the yellow shirt go into the hospital?
Yes.
Okay. Any follow-up?
No.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Next witness.
Okay, Jared Gabriel.
Before sitting down, raise your right hand. Do you swear and affirm that the testimony you should give the court today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Got it.
Yes, sir. If you will, please have a seat. Get as close to the mic as you can. For the purposes of the court's record, please state and spell your name.
Okay. My name is Yarid Gabriel.
Go closer to the mic.
Okay.
Can you take your jacket off? Would that be okay?
Yeah.
Thank you. And then get real close and personal with the microphone. All right, so if you lean into that microphone and state your first name, spell your first name, and then state your last name and spell that also, please.
Yarid Gabriel.
And spell your first name.
Yared.
And spell your last name for us, please.
Gabriel. Gebratidk.
And where are you originally from?
Ethiopia.
And how long have you been in the United
8 year.
And how far did you go in school?
In school, in Ethiopia, no here, it is it's 10 plus 2.
Where are you currently employed?
I work Valet, Emery,
Okay. Which Emory do you work at?
and Clifton Road.
And how long have you been working there?
June to 2012, I am the first time in the
And are you full-time or part-time?
full time,
Do you work every day?
5 days. Yes.
And I want to take you back to September 25th, 2016, okay? And we've been talking about it?
I'm not because I'm every day. I'm give you ticket almost one day. 100 something car is coming. I'm give you every time. Move the car. Sometimes nobody. I'm move the car. That I'm not.
So, do you remember a white SUV coming through the valet with the lady with the gunshot wound in it? Do you remember that?
I'm check the video. No, because everybody is coming. I'm talk to the. You need help? Yeah, I'm go the front desk. Please help. Just like this.
And I showed you a video.
Yeah.
And after watching the video, you still don't remember?
Yeah, not.
Okay. I'm going to show you what's already been introduced, the state's exhibit number 239. Okay? Could you identify yourself in this video, in this still from the video?
Yeah, this me. Yeah,
Which one are you?
yellow shirt.
In the yellow shirt?
Yeah.
Okay. And do you remember what you did after you were near that truck that night?
Yeah, I'm no front work. I'm give you ticket. Maybe the customer is his people is coming. You need help? Yeah, I'm go immediately go inside. The nurse, I'm talk to please help.
And after you tell them, please help, then what do you do? Do you remember?
Yeah, front desk every day in the front desk people he said she call and she also sometimes she's coming.
Okay.
The nursing.
Okay. So what you're, let me make sure I understand. What you're saying is you do this all the time?
All the time, people help. All the time I'm go inside, I'm talk to like that.
Okay. I have no other questions.
No questions? Okay. Any questions from the jurors? Seeing none, thank you, sir, for being here. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Next witness.
Allison Neely.
Nurses.
Do you swear and affirm that the testimony you should give the court today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Yes, ma'am, if you will, have a seat. Get as close to the mic as you can. For the purposes of the court record, please state and spell your name.
My name is Allison Neely,
N, last name Neely, Neely.
Good morning, Ms. Neely.
Morning.
Can you tell the jury how you're employed?
I'm employed as a registered nurse at Emory Healthcare.
Okay. And can you tell them a little bit about your educational background?
Yes. I have a bachelor's in mass communications from Clark Atlanta University. I also have a bachelor's in nursing from Georgia Southwestern University. And I'm also in the second year of a doctoral program in nursing at Georgia Southern University.
Okay. And you said you're a nurse at Emory. Which location are you a nurse at?
The Emory on Clifton Road.
Okay. And how long have you worked there?
I've been there since March 2nd, 2015.
And you still work at that location?
I do.
Okay. And are you assigned to a specific area in the main hospital?
Yes, I work in the emergency department.
Okay. And have you always worked in the emergency department, or have you worked in other areas of the hospital?
Yes, prior to working in the emergency room, I worked on a med-surg floor in the very same hospital on the 5th floor.
And what is med-surg?
Med-surg, medical, surgical, you basically take care of a wide array of patients with different types of conditions, anything from gastrointestinal bleeds, it could be failure to thrive, just a wide array. It's called a specialty, but it's more so like general medicine because you deal with so many different types of conditions.
So you see a lot of everything?
Yes, I did, and I still do, but yes.
And when did you start working in the ER, or the emergency room?
In June of 2016.
Now, were you working on Sunday, September 25th of 2016?
Yes, I was.
Okay. And do you remember what your hours or your shift was that evening?
Yes, I've always worked the evening shift, which is 7 p.m. to 7:30 a.m.
And back then, and maybe still now, did you work specific days? What was your schedule like?
Back then, I was hired as WIO, which means weekends only, or weekend option, which means I normally work Friday, Saturday, and Sunday nights, going into Monday morning.
And on that Sunday, September 25th, do you remember where in the ER you were working?
Yes, that particular night I was working as the lobby manager.
And on all your shifts, are you always assigned as a lobby manager, or does that change?
It changes.
Okay. Tell the jury a little bit about how it changes and why it changes.
Okay. Basically, the nurses, we alternate between different, sometimes we'll take a zone in which we care for patients. Sometimes we will work in the triage area, meaning when the patients first come in, we do an initial physical assessment and write down information about their medical histories and order labs. Lobby manager, your role as an RN is to do an initial visual assessment of the patients once they enter, and also to watch over the patients that are waiting in the waiting room to make sure that no one is declining, or that, something happens and someone isn't there, to help them.
So you're watching everything in the front area of the lobby of the hospital area?
Yes, correct.
Okay. And on September 25th, did you become aware of someone who needed assistance in the Valet area?
Yes.
Okay. And how did you become aware of this?
One of the men that works in Valet ran into the double doors and said, "We need help, we need help."
Now, where are you when this person comes in, one of the valets comes in saying, "We need help, we need help"?
I'm sitting at the front desk.
Okay. I'm going to show you what's been previously marked as States Exhibit 250 through 256. And just take a minute to look at these. And when you're done looking at them, just look up.
250 through 256?
Yes, Your Honor. Okay. All right. Do you recognize State Exhibits 250 through 256?
I do.
Okay, and how do you recognize them?
Those are different areas in the emergency department.
And do you recognize all the areas depicted in the pictures of the ER?
Yes, I do.
And are they a fair and accurate representation of the different areas in the ER on September 25th of 2016?
Yes.
At this time, Your Honor, the statement tender was been marked as State's Exhibit 250 through 256.
Any objection? They're all admitted.
Thank you, Judge. Now, I'm going to show you State's Exhibit 250. And I know it is not the best picture, but I'm going to zoom in, and can you point to the jury where the front desk area would be?
From my view, to the right of where this lady with the black and gray striped shirt is, there is a brown, woodish type, there's a desk right there.
All right, I'm going to ask you to do me a favor.
Mhm.
Usually that screen, you can touch it, but we're having some technical difficulties.
Okay.
So if you wouldn't mind, there's a pointer right in front of you, right here.
Mhm.
Would you mind standing up and just kind of pointing to the jury, just showing them so they can see where the front desk area is?
Yes. This is the front desk area. It extends a little further than this with this wall that's blocking.
Okay.
And I was sitting behind this desk, and this is the front door, the double doors.
So if to your left is the line of windows. What is all the way at the end of that wall?
Here, on which side?
On the other side of the window. That hallway. Where's that hallway lead to?
Out into the Valet area or into the main entrance of the main hospital.
Is that where the valet, the member of the valet staff came in through and told you, we need help, we need help?
Yes.
And did he, or was it a male or a female?
It was a male.
Okay. And do you remember his name?
I do not.
Okay.
I don't.
That's okay. And when he ran in saying, I need help, did he say anything else?
No.
Okay. And when you heard him say that and saw him, what did you do next?
I radioed. I said, we're going to need some help in Valet. I grabbed a pair of gloves and ran outside to the Valet area.
Now, I'm going to show you what's already been tendered into evidence of, do you know if Emory has video surveillance?
Yes.
Okay. And you had an opportunity to see the video surveillance of that evening?
Just a portion.
A portion of it?
Yes.
And did you see yourself in that portion?
I did.
Okay. So, I thought it was already in the playground, sorry. Stages of the 217. Have you had an opportunity to look at this?
Yes.
Now, while we're waiting, what was the first thing that you saw when you ran out of the ER sliding glass doors?
The first thing that I saw was an SUV. The valet had pulled a wheelchair up, and we were trying to get a lady out of an SUV. That was the scene.
Do you remember what color the SUV was?
It was like an ivory or white color, like in the.
And the doors that the young lady in the, it's like a teal colored sweater just came out. Where do those doors come and go from?
Those doors lead to the main entrance of the hospital, the rest of the hospital.
Now, In States Exhibit 217, do you see the white or ivory-colored vehicle you were referring to?
Yes.
And who is the person in the red shirt? Do you recognize that person?
I do.
Okay. And did you have an opportunity to speak to him when you first ran out to the car?
What I did was I said, you know, as we were gathering or putting the lady into the wheelchair, I said, what happened?
Did he answer you?
Uh-huh.
And what did he say?
He said, she's been shot.
Did he say anything else other than she's been shot?
No.
Did she tell you how he had been shot or she had been shot?
No.
Did she tell you who shot her?
No, I don't recall that.
Now, on States Exhibit 217, let the jury know when you see yourself.
Right now.
And as you're approaching the vehicle, do you come alone?
I came then, and then Blair's coming. Blair was coming because I radioed for help.
All right, I know you know Blair, but can you tell the jury who Blair is?
Blair is another registered nurse that worked along with me during that shift.
And what is the first thing you guys do when you see the victim being transferred into the wheelchair?
We're just trying to get her situated and moving. So we were getting her out of the car, we were putting her into the wheelchair. She was limp. So.
And when you say she was limp, can you explain to the jury, what do you mean by limp? Or
like she was flaccid. She was just like this, just limp. She couldn't help us do anything.
Is that why Blair is attempting to lift her legs?
Yes.
Did she not lift them herself?
Blair lifted one leg, and then her husband lifted the other leg.
And do you see the person who helped lift the other leg in the courtroom here today?
Yes.
Can you point and identify him by an article of clothing?
You don't have to physically point, you can just describe what he's wearing.
I probably could see it a little better if he turned around, but I do see him.
Okay.
If I can reflect this. And a stipulation that the witness identified the defendant. Now, as you're attempting to have her into the hospital, what's the first thing that you guys are trying to do?
We're trying to get vital signs on her. We transfer her from the wheelchair onto the bed. We're trying to get vital signs. We can't get.
Let me stop you there. You said you transferred her from the wheelchair onto what?
Onto the bed in the critical care room.
Okay. And before coming out and first encountering the victim, did you know she had been shot by a gun?
On the initial encounter, no, I didn't know until we asked what happened.
And had you had known that she had been shot, would you have brought a gurney?
Looking back in retrospect, yes, I think so.
Why is that?
Basically, when someone has an injury of that type, you don't want to cause any additional damage or any additional trauma. But once we had her in the wheelchair and we learned that she was shot, we continued to move because time was of the essence at that point, and that was the quickest way to get her.
Tell the jury why at that point when you first encountered her, do you know that time is of the essence?
No, I didn't know that time was of the essence when we initially encountered. It was only later when we learned the extent of her injury.
So you said you transferred her to bed. What's the first thing that you did?
We turned. Let's see. she was facing the wrong way, so we had to turn her around. We started to try to get a blood pressure. We couldn't, so I started scrambling, running to get fluids, hang fluids, do things of that nature. Everyone was just scrambling. I can't tell you the very, very first thing, but yeah.
Now, on the screen, I'm showing you what marked as States Exhibit 252. Can you explain to the jury what they are seeing as soon as I exit out of this? Thank you.
This is a critical care room.
Okay. And is this the critical care room that the victim was taken to and transferred onto the bed at the gurney?
Yes.
Now, explain or describe to the jury the scene or what the room was like when you got her on the bed and you transferred her and you're trying to get vital signs. What's the scene like? Was there a lot of people in there?
Yes, because while we were walking or pushing her, Blair called on the walkie and said, we have a GSW, which is an acronym for gunshot wound. And at that point, everyone started coming from everywhere. Nurses, techs, everyone just helping. Mm-hmm.
And was this a common occurrence to get a GSW or gunshot wound victim in your ER?
No.
And was this the first gunshot wound that you had encountered while working at Emory?
That I had encountered, yes. Yes.
And at that time, you had worked at Emory for how long?
At that time, I probably had been at Emory for about a year and a half.
Now, everybody's rushing to the room. What other things, other than checking vital signs, what other things are being done to try to save the victim, Ms. McIver's life?
I didn't personally do it, but there were nurses that were trying to gain IV access to be able to administer the fluids and the blood. The doctors were coming in, they were doing, I can't tell you everything that they were doing, but we were in full critical care, life-saving mode. So it was tons of things going on.
When you're in that mode, is the victim talking to you?
Initially, she was not speaking at all. Initially, she was lying limp, but then once we started to get fluids into her and build her volume, then she started to speak.
Did she gain consciousness?
Yes.
And do you remember what the first thing she said?
She was groaning and she said, oh, this hurts. It hurts.
And did you say anything back to her?
I didn't know.
Okay. And after she's groaning and she's saying this hurts, what's the next? Did she say anything else?
She said, I'm dying, aren't I?
And were you able to respond to her?
I didn't respond to her.
Without telling me what anybody else said,
Mm-hmm.
was somebody able to respond to her?
Yes.
Now, do you remain in that room, or are you coming in and out?
Yes, I was moving about.
And when you left the first time, or where did you go?
When I left the first time, I walked out and I was walking towards the charge desk, and I saw the other lady that was in the vehicle that night, and she was walking, and she was looking a little frantic. I said, can I help you? And she said, yes, I need to get my phone.
Now, do you remember what the lady who was driving the vehicle, what she looked like?
I do.
Okay. Can you tell the jury what she looked like or what she was wearing?
I can.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You go ahead.
That night, she had on a straw, like brownish cowboy hat. She had on a white shirt that came maybe a little bit below her bottom or maybe mid-thigh. She had on blue jeans, and she had on orange stacked heels.
What does stacked heels mean?
Stacked, okay, stacked heel, like platform.
That was the next question, so.
They're like platform heels, whereas stilettos have more of a thin heel. The platform heels are more like a block. They're kind of like a block. That's the best way I can describe it for you guys, actually.
So I'll put in parentheses, kind of like a block.
Yes, kind of like a block.
Now, why don't you tell me, why did what she was wearing, her outfit, stick out in your mind?
I mean, because she's a pretty lady, but she was very pristine and very, very well put together. And I just remember like, oh, yeah.
So, would it be fair to say you thought she was dressed to the nines, is what I would say?
Yes, yes.
Now, she said you asked her if she needed help. Did you take her anywhere?
I did.
Okay. And when you first saw her, where did you first encounter her?
It was in the hallway. The charge nurse's desk, I'll use this first desk as a reference point. The charge nurse's desk is here. A few feet before, there's a little small walkway there.
So if I stand about a foot away from the court reporter, could this be about the hallway you're talking about?
Yes, but she was further back in the hallway.
Right here?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yes.
And where did you take her?
I took her outside to Valet.
And when you took her to Valet, did you stay with her or did you go back into the ER?
I went back into the ER. I just told the valet that she needed to get her phone out of the car.
And did she come back in?
I saw her later, so yes.
After you helped her get to the valet area, where did you go next? Did you go back into the room?
No, I think I was moving about just throughout the ER, just trying to assist.
Okay. Were you trying to assist other, patients, or are you still trying to assist Ms. McIver with gunshot?
Yes.
Okay. And tell me, what were you doing to continue to try to assist?
I was just running around in the emergency department. We were looking for manual cuffs because even though she was responsive for a moment, her blood pressure was still very, very low. So when your blood pressure is really low, it's hard for it to read on the automatic blood pressure cuff. So I was running around looking in the different rooms for manual cuffs, going to get fluids, going to get syringes, just basically supporting the other nurses and the doctors.
Okay. And while you're in the room and you're running around, it's a hectic time, do you know if there was ever an attempt to transfer Ms. McIver to Grady Hospital?
I remember them talking about a transfer, but
Be careful about hearsay, what she knows, what she's told, what she heard.
Sure. Is this the best witness to explore this in a non-hearsay manner?
I can explore with a different witness, Your Honor.
Okay.
Now, is Ms. McIver, the patient, ever transferred out of critical room 2?
yes, she was taken upstairs to the OR.
And before she's taken to the OR, about how much time has she spent in that critical care room 2, if you can remember?
I don't remember specifically. I do remember them arriving around 10-ish. At this particular time, I was in the front. I do not know the exact time, but I do know that she had been transferred up to the OR.
And after her transfer to the OR, do you see the defendant again?
Yes.
Okay. And do you see the lady with the cowboy hat or the straw hat?
Yes.
Okay. And do you see anybody else with the defendant or the lady with the cowboy hat?
Yes.
Okay. And who do you see?
There was another tall Caucasian man Where did you first encounter him?
I was sitting at the front desk, and he came through the double doors, and he said, "Hey, can you tell me how to get to the 3rd floor?"
And can you describe how this man looked?
Yes, he was tall, I would say late middle age, more mature, definitely more mature. Salt and pepper, maybe like whitish hair, thinning a bit here.
Okay. You take good observations. So, you directed to the 3rd floor?
Yes.
And before you see that man, you directed to the 3rd floor, and while you're running around working on the victim, do you see the defendant and the lady who's driving talking?
Did you say ask me before? What was that? Say that again.
While you said you were in and out of the room.
Oh, yeah.
Treating the victim and trying to get things.
Mm-hmm.
During that time, and before her transfer, do you see the defendant and the lady dressed to the nines that were speaking?
Yes.
Okay. And where do you see them speaking? And is it just the two of them?
Yes, at that time.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 253. And do you see the entrance door to the family room?
Yes.
Okay. And if you'll use that, your trusted pointer again when you point to the jury where that is.
It's here.
Okay. And when you saw them talking there, was that before the police arrived?
Yes.
And in State's Exhibits 255 and 256, can you tell the jury what that picture of State's 255?
That's the picture of the family room, the inside of it.
And is State's 256 just another angle?
Yes.
And after the victim is taken up to the OR on the 3rd floor, when do you remember seeing the defendant again?
I came back to sit down at the front, and then the other gentleman that I just described and the young lady were standing in front of the desk. And she,
Is this the same desk you were talking about in State's Exhibit 250?
Yes.
Wood desk?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
There.
Okay. And you said you saw them talking there?
Hmm?
You said you saw them talking there?
I saw not initially, the defendant wasn't there initially. It was the taller, older gentleman and the lady standing there talking.
Okay. And what were they doing? Were they doing anything other than talking?
Yes, she kept looking down towards the triage room.
Okay. And can you point in the direction on State's Exhibit 250 where the triage room area would be? Told you that picture.
It is this way. You can't see it, but there's a walkway here.
So it's behind the wall in State's Exhibit 250 if you're looking at
Yes.
the right side of the picture?
Yes.
Okay. And what do you see over there? What do you see in the triage area?
I saw the defendant.
Okay. And what happened next?
I asked her, could I help her, because she kept looking, and she said, no, I'm just, just looking at him. Then after Ryan finished triaging him, he was taken to a room for treatment.
No, you said, who is Ryan?
Ryan is another one of the nurses that works there, and he was the triage nurse that night.
And I forget, we're not all nurses or the medical codes, but what is triaging? What is the triage room or area for?
When
when patients initially check themselves in, that's where the initial assessment is done. That's where the nurse will gather parts of their medical history, also do a set of vital signs just to get, just an initial assessment, and then also listen to the patient's complaint and the reason that they're there.
And after a patient has been triaged, are they taken somewhere else, or where do they go?
It really depends on the volume that particular night. Sometimes if we have rooms available, then they'll be taken to a room. If we don't, sometimes they'll sit back out into the waiting room until a room comes available for them to occupy and be treated.
And that night, you said it depends on the volume. Was the defendant taken back to a room?
Yes.
Okay. And was the ER busy that evening?
It depends on what time, because there were down times and then there were high times, so.
When the car with Ms. McIver came into the Valet area, was the ER busy at that time?
No, not particularly busy, no.
And was it busy or hectic when Mr. McIver was taken back to his room?
No.
And after Mr. McIver was released from the triage area, does he come in contact with the gentleman and the lady in the straw hat?
Yes.
Okay. What did you observe, or what did you see?
He walked out and he gave the lady a hug. Then they were standing there and he was holding on to her, rubbing her back, and he was standing there talking to the other gentleman.
Did you say he was rubbing her back or she was rubbing his back?
He was rubbing her back. They both hugged and he continued to hold her and he was rubbing her back.
Mr. Valet, I'm not cutting you off in any way. Are you almost done, or you have 5 more minutes?
I probably have 10, 15 more minutes left.
Okay, we're going to need to break right now for lunch. Ladies and gentlemen, it's just about 12:30. 1:15? You all think 1:15 would work?
Yes.
I don't want just the loud voice. Everyone, 1:15 would work? Okay, all right. Let's be back at 1:15, and we will get started. We'll continue with Nurse Neely's testimony. Thank you.
All rise for the jurors.
From the state before we break. We're good for the afternoon?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anything from the defense?
Your Honor, I'm concerned about the scan of the 10th Street.
Can we excuse the witness first?
Sure. Yeah, but you're welcome to start your lunch. We need you back here a little before 1:15, please.
Okay.
Continue with your exam. Thank you for your patience.
And not all the other nurses.
Sure. Ma'am, while you're out there, just make sure if you bump into colleagues and whatnot, you're free to say hi. Don't talk about what you've been discussing in here.
Not at all.
Thank you.
You can't undo the scan, but I think you could instruct the prosecution not to argue and close an argument. If you're right next to a fire station, it really violates your motion to eliminate, which is you can't put in evidence about all those things that they can't show that Mr. McIver knew about. And I don't think it was a mistake that they did that. I don't think it was accidental. I think it was intentional. To start the scan on 10th Street to show the fire station, even though they knew the car never went down 10th Street, they knew that. And I just moved with them now to make sure they don't exploit that any way, any other witness, including closing
Okay. I'm not making any finding as to intent or purpose or whatnot, but it's a point well taken that whether there was the Grady Trauma Center number 2 on 10th, unless and until there is sufficient evidence that Mr. McIver was aware of that, and it's somehow made relevant how you could get back there if the shooting actually happened up on 14th. We ought not to explore it any more than Mr. Sandman chose to explore it with the jury. So I trust if you think things have changed, we'll have a discussion outside the presence of the jury before it will pop up in closing or anyone else would be asked about what's on 10th. Because it sounds like the evidence will show the car was on Piedmont from Edgewoodish onward, certainly well before North and Ponce. And so all those numbered streets, what's on them really isn't relevant until someone shows Mr. McIver or Ms. Carter was aware of that. Okay? Yes, sir. Thank you.
See you soon.